Welcome, everybody. My name is David Filarme, and in the next hour or so, we'll be going through Shopify stores and e-commerce stores, and we'll be auditing them to look for opportunities to improve conversions and implement marketing best practices. Leading the audits is Piers Thorogood. He's the co-founder and lead designer of We Make Websites. We Make Websites is the top-rated Shopify experts agency in the UK, so we're super excited to have him on today. They've managed hundreds of projects on the Shopify platform, so they're super experienced. And their focus is really on combining beautiful store designs with high-performing conversions and marketing that delivers. And who am I? I'm David Filarme. I'm your host for today. I'm the director of marketing at ReferralCandy. What we do is we run refer a friend programs for e-commerce stores. We've run thousands of referral programs, so we've gotten a pretty good feel for what works. So while Piers will be leading the review portion for today, I'll be chiming in with thoughts now and then with some ideas on what we've seen to have worked for e-commerce stores before. We have an app on the Shopify App Store, and some of our best customers are on Shopify, so we love working with Shopify stores. Our bread and butter is really helping retailers increase their sales by making word of mouth referrals super easy. And I'll show you how we do that after Piers does his audits.
Hello. Hey, thanks, David. That was great. Yeah, I'm going to be starting off with Fortified Bicycle. So as you can see, it's a pretty good opening shot. I think you get a fairly decent idea that this is about bike lights. They're invincible, lock them on, run forever. It's pretty good opening gambit. I think it works well as a homepage. I think when you kind of go a bit further into the site, it starts to lose a bit of that. So the sort of feel to me of this site is that it kind of feels a bit homemade in the sense that there doesn't seem to be a sort of consistency to the design. That's kind of okay, but I think subconsciously when you're looking through the site, you get a feeling that, oh, is it okay to shop here? It's sort of slightly jarring to me. Another thing to consider here is that this kind of main menu is not that easy to read. It's very small, it's kind of grayed out, almost looks like it's slightly inactive. And also, when you're kind of buying or when you're trying to get to the cart, for example, it's not particularly obvious where that is. And now where do I go? You've actually got this tiny little cart thing in the top corner there, and it's really not obvious at all. So I think a good thing to do here would be to beef that up a bit, maybe add in the word cart just to kind of give that area of the page a little more visual sort of prominency.
Sorry, just to chime in on this page as well. So one of the things that we see that is really effective for a lot of retailers is really good product descriptions. So I think there's a huge opportunity here in making sure that the narrative of the brand is coming through, as well as a very good description of the product. So the history of Fortified Bike is, as you guys can see, one of the friends of the founders was hit by a car, and then that was kind of the genesis of the product line that they have. It would be great to see more of that in a more comprehensive product description. So just for the people who maybe haven't heard of the backstory of Fortified Bike, when they come on this page, it's a great way to sell them, here's the full history of why this is important and how this is differentiated from other bicycle products.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, I suppose there's a bit of a sort of split between that kind of story content and the products themselves. It would be better to, as you say, David, kind of tell that story a bit more on these type of product pages. Also, you've got these bits down at the bottom. I don't know if you saw the page I was on before. You kind of lose that a bit here. Yeah, it's fine to have sort of areas to scroll down to, but you've got this sort of visual kind of space underneath the kind of description where you kind of expect to have all the stuff about weatherproof, shockproof stuff. You may as well put it up there.
Yep.
Otherwise people might not see it.
Sorry, just one last thing. It's a design opportunity, but it's also an SEO opportunity. So you might be able to pick up some people who are searching for, I don't know, super safe bike light or whatever the key phrase is for this type of consumer. So there's a lot of things you can do with product descriptions that can help not only with the conversion on the page, but also helping pull people in, let's say, from search.
Yeah. So again, other things that I think need to be on this product page are something about shipping rates. I've kind of got no idea, is $49 the price I'm going to pay, or am I going to be charged $10 to get it shipped? I think it's useful to have that information on here, particularly if you're giving away free shipping, or maybe it's free shipping over $100 and that'll coax me into buying more. Putting that somewhere near the price or near the add to cart button is really, really useful and a sort of key thing to help conversion. Like one of the most important things, most common reasons for people not checking out or not buying is an unexpected cost that they only see at the checkout stage. So trying to give people all the information up front is much better. And the other thing on here, I think it'd be good if you could maybe incorporate some testimonials or reviews of some kind, saying, yeah, this thing, I bought it, and yeah, it's absolutely rock solid, use it every day, it's unbreakable, or something like that. I think that would really help conversions, because at the moment I'm just taking your word for it. I know the guys at Fortified Bikes kind of gave some notes on things they're trying to achieve. So one of the things was increasing sort of site traffic overall. So one good way of doing that sort of organically is through a blog. Now you guys have your blog, it's running on a separate domain, which is potentially fine, but as far as best practice goes, it's typically better to, rather than on a subdomain, so you've got blog.fortified.bike.com, it'd be better to be running it on fortifiedbike.com/blog using Shopify's own blogging platform. And then you'll definitely be getting the SEO benefit of those blog posts. Writing decent content that's going to be the sort of thing people are searching for is a great way to sort of slowly build up that organic traffic. I think I've probably talked enough about this one for now, so I'll move on to the next. So now we're on to the whipping post. Now the whipping post is a bit of a poster boy for Shopify. It's often featured in sort of Shopify's kind of lists of really great websites. And in fact, as I understand it, the Retina theme that exists in Shopify's App Store is effectively the whipping post website, and it was designed and built in conjunction with that. So you can tell right away it's got really good visuals. It kind of makes you want the products. The product photography is excellent. You've got nice big images up top, setting the tone for the kind of, what I might aspire to be like if I'm going to buy these products, which is great. So I think it's a really strong brand. One thing I would mention is, at the moment, with the current sort of slides that are being used, it's really, really difficult to see the heading, the sort of main menu, particularly on this first slide. It's up here somewhere. I can't see it. It's barely visible at all. When you start scrolling, you do get this sort of translucent sort of effects, so you can start seeing it again. I'd consider maybe having that right from the start, or even choosing images that have a slightly darker top to them to make it a bit more visible, because I think that's a bit of a usability issue. Again, in general, I think on this page, it'd be good to be mentioning delivery information. I don't know if you guys are offering free delivery. It doesn't say it at all on the homepage, doesn't say what might be charged delivery on product page. I'm going to be saying this a lot, but I think it's really important that that kind of information is given to people up front. And in fact, I think on this page, I couldn't even find a shipping page telling me what I'm going to be charged.
Yeah, Piers, could you just go back to the homepage for a second? So this came up in our last expert webinar as well. And having really good product photos in your carousel at the front is super important. What we found to work is also having headlines or call to actions in there as well. So it's not just describing what's in the photo, but giving the user or the visitor some action to take. So the weekender explore now, as simple as that, incites them to click and explore, as opposed to just looking at it and passively consuming the picture.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Perhaps we wouldn't even know you can click on it without that sort of call to action. So I think that's a good point. So yeah, going on to the product page, what I'd say is good about the product pages is good images again. It's really good to show product in isolation, products on different views, and then really, really crucial, if you can do it, to show these kind of model shots. So I think these guys are doing it really well, because it's hard to get a sense of size and scale and things like, if you're selling clothes, what's it going to look like on me? At least you can see it on a person, then you've got a little bit better idea. The whole time you're trying to make it as close to shopping in real life as you can. And these guys are also using video, so it's great to have that if you can, because it gets you closer to having that product in your hand. So I think they're doing that really well. I think in terms of sort of blog, which I mentioned again, in order to build sort of more predictable organic traffic, you could be writing a lot more shareable type content in your blog. So you can think of it as, I hate to use them as an example, but BuzzFeed are incredible at this. They write a lot of lists of articles, top 20 things to do in London, top 20 things while you're a kid from the 90s or something. All of that content is sort of aimed to make people click on it if they see it on social media or see it linked somewhere. So you almost want to do that kind of thing. And I'm not saying quite as spammy as BuzzFeed, but what you could be doing is, writing the top 5 gifts for Valentine's Day or for top 5 gifts for Father's Day, and be including your products in these type lists.
I think this was a huge, there's a huge opportunity for these guys because when you land on the homepage, you see all this great imagery and you kind of get the lifestyle feeling, right? But then when you go to the blog, it's completely missing and it's just very generic. And this is something that you see a lot with stores because not everybody is a content marketing expert or, they haven't blogged before, but they hear all the time that blogging is important, it's going to drive you traffic. So the thing to note here, so for everybody who's considering using blogging as a customer acquisition channel, you really, really have to commit to it. And if you see from these guys, Whipping Post is a huge missed opportunity because they've got this great story behind them. If you go to the About page, there's like a really cool story to the founder. But in the blog, it's missing that. It's really too bad. So if you're thinking about making blogging a channel for you, you really have to commit. And that doesn't necessarily mean you as the founder have to blog. You can get freelance writers and just point them in a direction and just make sure you're consistently producing content that reflects the story of your brand. But as Pierce said, also has that shareable kind of clickbaity element to it so that it does drive traffic and gets people to go on your site.
In the notes for this one, these guys mentioned that most of their traffic comes from good PR. If you can get great PR consistently, that's brilliant. And I work with a lot of businesses that are almost relied entirely on that kind of great PR. But alongside that, you might want to consider PPC, so Google AdWords type things. Consider remarketing adverts. For those of you who don't know what remarketing is once I've visited this site, if I then go off to another site, they might be showing me adverts of Whipping Post products because there's a cookie tracking me, telling them the fact that I've been on the Whipping Post site. So you'll notice that effects if you're, browsing around the web and you've been looking on a site and then suddenly now you're being bombarded with advertisements from them. That is a really effective way of capturing people and keeping you in their mind when perhaps they're not ready to make the purchase straight away, but a week later when you're showing them this remarketing advert, they think, oh yeah, I was about to buy that satchel, great. And then other things are sort of along that line, referral schemes, so ReferralCandy that David's going to talk to you about later, and various affiliate marketing networks that could potentially work. It's a kind of almost faking PR in a way where you can get people advertising on your behalf through one of these affiliate networks. The final thing I wanted to say on this one, which would be another good opportunity, is pushing your products through something sort of curated shopping network, really. So something like Wanelo, that's WANELO. It's a bit like Pinterest, but it's kind of for shopping explicitly. You set up a shop on there, it integrates with Shopify, so you can basically just sign up and it'll push all of your products into there. And the great thing about that is people are sort of liking them and sharing it within this social network and it can just be an amazing extra sales channel for very little work. With products like this, which are very sort of desirable, I think that's the perfect sort of type of company for that audience. Level 6, I think initial impressions are pretty good, but it somehow seems a bit busy. So on that slide particularly, everything's so white and spaced out, I kind of don't know where to look. The menu's almost lost because you've got so many other things going on here. So I'd consider maybe simplifying that in some way.
So just to touch on your point about that, the navigation being quite heavy, this is something that we typically see with stores that grow from very simple and then getting some success and then they expand their product line. It's very tempting to just continue to add to that navigation bar because, oh, now we're doing kid stuff. All right, we got to put a kids menu on there. Now we want to do a bunch of sales stuff. Okay, now we have a blog. So eventually your navigation just becomes this huge, nasty monster. And it's very preventable. So all you got to do is once you feel like your navigation is starting to get pretty heavy, find a couple of your customers and sit them down for a UX session. So you want to find out what areas of the site they're looking on, what parts are important, what parts aren't important. And if it's leading to a lot of confusion or they don't know where to go, then that's something that you really want to take care of.
Yeah, on that point, I mean, if you can get hold of some customers, sit down, that's great. But even if you don't have the sort of time or ability to do that, you can use services like usertesting.com, where you can effectively get videos of people using your site, from a particular demographic. You've given them a task to do on your site, and you can see them struggling around trying to do it, which is often very enlightening. You don't need many tests to sort of show you what the main kind of problems are on your site.
Yeah, there's a free service for usertesting.com called peek.com, peek.com. So they just released that. What they do is you can give them a URL and then they'll give you a free 5-minute review of your site. So just to add to Pierce's point.
Oh, great. I did not know about that. That's very good. I don't know much about this brand, but To me, having two logos on there is sort of confusing and adding even more clutter to the top. So I just made a note of that because it kind of, again, seems slightly unusual. And it also feels like there's a lot of different graphical styles going on here. I think it is, like you say, David, maybe starting off as a simple site and then kind of everything being added without any kind of design consistency. There's lots of different styles of logo all over the shop, and it kind of feels like the brand's getting diluted somehow. The good thing is you are mentioning free shipping on all orders. Yeah, it's really, really key if you've got that. But anyway, moving on to the more specifics of the site. So let's go and have a look at the products. Now, it's pretty good. It's good that you're showing discounts. I'd say I had to scroll down quite a lot there to get to the bit where I buy it. Now, for me, it makes much more sense, and I think it converts better if you have this kind of stuff, the color picker and size and add to cart button above your description. People are going to see the description anyway. They might be thinking, right, there's the price, where's the buy button? It's just a sort of slightly more confusing setup. I think on here, it'd be good to show model shots. I mentioned this before. It's really good if you're selling clothes to have model shots showing, right, how does this fit? What's it going to look like? Ideally, showing the measurements of the model. So ASOS do this particularly well, where if you're buying a t-shirt or something, it'll say, this model is 6 foot tall and they're wearing a medium. So you've got a pretty good idea of what size you should go for based on looking at them. So all that stuff that's useful, it just helps it make it feel more like you're shopping in person, and you're reducing that sort of buyer anxiety. Next thing to talk about, you guys mentioned sort of driving more traffic to your site more cost effectively. Again, a content marketing sort of strategy might work well for you guys. Quite a lot of blog stuff here. I almost found it too confusing. Like I almost wanted just one blog, just showing me everything. It's really important if you're going down that content marketing route to be constantly analyzing what is and isn't working. You don't want to just be blogging in the dark and doing all these posts on all these different channels. Same goes for all your social media stuff. You should always be looking at, right, I've posted all this stuff. Which of these things are turning into visits to the site or turning into conversion? Which posts have I done that have actually led to loads of people coming to the site and buying something? So you should get into the habit of every month saying, right, these are our top posts. Great. What can we do to write more stuff like this, or produce more stuff like this for Twitter, or more stuff for this like Instagram? It's just really important to be analysing. The same goes in a broader sense for your website. It's really important to be looking at your analytics on a regular basis to see where things are going wrong, or perhaps where things are lacking. So let's say people are always searching for dry tops in your search bar. If you're not tracking what you're searching for, you're kind of missing the opportunity. If loads of people are searching for that, it's probably obvious where to find that on your main menu, or it's not obvious that you sell that. It's just something to bear in mind, to be always analysing what you're doing. I'll skip to our next website, which is the Far and Wide Collective. Right, general impressions here. These guys have a really good pop-up up here. It's very well branded. It feels like the rest of the site, and it's offering me 15% discount. If I'm interested in this kind of stuff, great. That's a huge saving I'm going to make. Good that you're mentioning shipping in your header. Very important. It's great that you're offering free shipping as well. Other good things, great to include a gift ideas category, particularly in a kind of shop like this where you're likely to, a lot of purchases might be gifts. The idea behind it is just another way of shopping, and some people like to shop like this. Great. And then even at the bottom, you've got like for mum, for the hostess. It just makes things a lot easier if you're gift shopping. Other things to include on main menus in general are things like new in, particularly if you've got a big catalogue of products. It's great to show new in products because customers know the rest of your product range. They just want to see what's new. So it's always good. So one good thing these guys are doing is timely content. So they're talking about Valentine's Day here. It's always good to try and get your content likely relevant to people. So a lot of people will be shopping for Valentine's Day at the moment. Great, I can see this. It makes shopping a bit easier for people who need that inspiration. Stuff's actually worth mentioning. These guys sort of help tell the story of the brand quite well. So they've got these sort of artisans all over the world producing these products, and then Far and Wider Collective are selling it on their behalf. So what's great about the site is that this is carried through on the product page, which I'll go to now.
Yeah, this was super awesome. This is like, I love seeing the history of it, especially for unique products. What I would improve here is just making sure that the text there is not in an image. That way it's in the all-important SEO. When people are searching for certain things, they may land on that page. So maybe somebody is typing in for Afghanistan handicrafts or Afghanistan specialty items. Ideally you don't put text within an image. That way it's indexable and searchable and that kind of thing. So that's the only thing I would add to that backstory thing.
Yeah, so that was on the home page that the text is part of an image. On the product page, they're doing it well in the sense that this is all text down here. It's great, it sort of carries through the whole site. I don't need to be on the About page to be learning about the products. It's all right here for me, which I think was something that was missing on the first site we looked at. So on the blogging side, you blog, but really I can scroll back to August in 6 posts, so you're not using it very effectively. I think if you want to improve your SEO, a lot of that is going to come from having content on your site. You need to be thinking about a content strategy. What sort of things could you be posting about? Talking about working with them and all their working practices and that kind of thing, so helping building the story of the brand. I think that'd be one thing to be doing. So moving on, right, next site, the Sill. It's really visual. It's pretty obvious what they're selling. Hand-potted houseplant, straight to your door delivery, 30-day promise. That's great. You've also got complimentary delivery. You've got the Sill plant promise, complimentary consultations. You've got a lot of good information in there that makes me feel, right, I know what I'm doing here. I can feel confident to shop on this site. Moving on to a collection page. One thing I would change here is the sort of layout, this kind of scrolling one plant at a time look. I'd far rather see it in a grid. And it implies that I can see it in a grid, but when I click on that, it turns out I am actually on view. And when I go to a stream view, it's something else. So it's slightly jarring. I think that needs to be looked at. It's always better to make it easy as possible for the shopper. And I think that's not happening here. Similarly, I'm having to hover every time to see the price. And that's probably an aesthetic choice, but I think it's probably better to just show price underneath it so that I can see, here are all my options. I don't have to hover over each one to decide, whether that's out of my price range or not. Another thing is when you actually click on the product, there's a slightly unusual action where it sort of slides out from the bottom. It doesn't give me a huge amount of more info, and then I have to click on more details to get to the point where I can then buy. In fact, so this product's unavailable, so that's a bad option. So I think I can buy it on this page, but it's sort of unusual. It's kind of like the kind of quick shop functionality. I get it, but it's odd that it slides out, and when I then click on more details, I'm not really getting any more details, and I've still got the more details sitting there. So I think there's some usability issues that need to be looked at here. In general, though, what I would say is when you finally do get to a product page, your message about shipping is no longer showing up here. So I'd keep that on all pages across the top. Just makes sense to do so. Stuff that's really good here are these kind of thumbnails. It's quite good that I'm getting a sense of what's available in visual form. It'd be good if when I'm clicking on these, showing up here as well, so I'm not having to, there's not a disconnect between these two parts. So that's the variant image functionality in Shopify, if you perhaps look at that. Now, another point that David mentioned earlier about giving a really detailed description. I'd almost prefer this to be a bit clearer. It kind of looks like that's not part of the description. I'm not totally clear. I think it'd work better all as one. You guys mentioned specifically that you're looking into a good way to capture people outside of your shipping area. The Sill delivers or ships to Manhattan and Brooklyn area, but presumably they're getting some interest elsewhere and want to find out maybe where next to expand to. So I think a good way of doing that is trying to collect this information. Now, a couple of ways I thought of doing that would be next to the buy button, having it pretty clear, like not in Brooklyn or Manhattan, ? And then click here, and then it would show some sort of way of registering your interest, like some sort of compelling pop-up box maybe to say, we're expanding, let us know where you live and we'll consider you for the next place, or we're expanding to XYZ, whatever place. It's going to be happening in this date, sign up and we'll let you know as soon as it's available.
I'm not sure if you're going to mention it next, but this is something that you could do pretty easily with detecting the location of the user. So you would see that, they're only serving Manhattan, but what if the person's coming from Boston? Then you throw up a pop-up that says, hey, we're not in Boston yet, enter your email and we'll let you know.
Yeah, so that is my exact next point. So if you're looking into this stuff, it's typically called like a geo-IP. You could either do it on the product page or you could do it as soon as they enter the site. Looks like you're from Brooklyn or Manhattan, fine, go ahead. Looks like you're from wherever else, we don't deliver to you yet, but sign up and we'll let you know when we do. Right, so on to the next site, which is Bikini Lux. Looking at this site, I think layout's pretty good in general. It's nice and clean. The images are compelling, and it's quite image-led, which is good. I think these animations, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to pick them up, but things are sort of fading in. It's slightly distracting, but it does help it feel a bit luxe, which is presumably the idea. I think one thing I would say about the general layout is this header section is sort of huge. But it doesn't seem to be a massive reason to make it so big. It's taking up more than half of my screen real estate here. I think it'd be better for initial impressions and to help me get involved with the site as soon as I land on it, just to shrink that logo right down, so that then maybe the header section's more like that, and I'm getting a much bigger view of this product.
Just a minor point. So you guys all see on the left side next to this beautiful woman, there is a sharing widget. So it has like Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, and Pinterest. So this is something that people just have by default. I don't know what the thought process is, but it's something like, well, if I put these on my site, then people will pin it or people will share it on Twitter. I mean, that's not always the case. So if you are, fighting with your designer to get those added, I really would caution against that unless there's a really good reason you think that users will share that on the page. So by default, a lot of Shopify themes have this. If you feel that it is going to be adding distractions to the user experience, take them out. If you go to the very top of this page, Pierce, I believe there's a Google Plus sharing option. Yeah, I mean, like really Google Plus. Like, who's going to do that, right? So again, just think about the defaults that you are using for your store. It's not always going to be Pinterest, maybe, for your store, for your audience, it's Twitter. So really think about the sharing options that you are putting on there and be smart about curating which ones you want to use. So one thing that we see a lot with our customers is just visual is just super, super, super powerful. So we have a customer called Greats brand. They're also on Shopify. And one of the reasons that they grew so quickly is because their Instagram game is just super strong. They're always courting influencers. They're giving free shoes and always making sure that the brand and the narrative is represented in a very nice visual way, and they're very consistent about it. If you go to their Instagram account, I think it's instagram.com/greatsbrand, you'll see they do a really good job of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how Bikini Lux got their social following. Really good at visual. Of course, it helps that they have like beautiful women selling their product. But failing that, I mean, Greats brand doesn't have beautiful women selling their product. They just have dudes wearing shoes. Just the power of visual cannot be underestimated. And you can say that pretty safely across a lot of different products in different stores.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a brand called Triangle, an Australian brand. They're, again, another Shopify site. Their marketing is almost exclusively Instagram. And it is, again, just getting the right style of shots, getting the right influencers, getting the right people wearing it and sharing it on Instagram. It's a really, really powerful way of getting people onto your site. Let's look at some of the product pages. This is where the sort of animation effects get slightly over the top, and I'd consider maybe reducing it a bit. Every time you load the page, I can out-scroll it. I don't know why it's doing it. It's slowing me down as a shopper. It doesn't really add anything, so the animation is a bit over the top and probably unnecessary. I'd say here it'd be good to show prices without having to hover over. I mean, it seems like their prices are consistent across the board, but it's just a bit easier if I can see everything up front. Clicking through to a product page. So we showed an example earlier on where it was a kind of poor action after I clicked add to cart. I didn't know what had happened and I couldn't find the cart. This one is the opposite. It's great. I've added it to the cart. I've got some clear options. It's popped up. I know it's definitely been added. And then I go to my cart. It's guiding me through the process, encouraging me to check out. That was really good. It may well be part of the theme, or it might be they've had something totally custom made, but I think it's a really good add to cart experience. So these guys are showing things like shipping details on the page. I think it'd be better to have it sort of higher up and show the price and then guide me down there if I really want to know about the huge returns policy and shipping policy. I mean, it's really important to have those on there, but I think it'd be good to have a sort of simpler kind of, this is how much you're going to pay for shipping or in this region. So one of the things these guys mentioned was what apps are out there to help discover customer behavior. One of the good apps that's in the App Store at the moment is a thing called Lucky Orange. That gives you, a bit like usertesting.com we talked about earlier, but instead of that, it's kind of constantly monitoring all traffic on the site, and it'll give you a live video of people using your site. So you can see where people are clicking, and it can be quite addictive watching this stuff, but it is actually very useful to sort of see a real customer looking around your site. You might discover that they're doing something totally weird because you've got an interesting setup, and then you tweak it, and then you can see sort of a week later are people still exhibiting that behavior. So that's a really good one. And as well, it also shows you kind of a heat map of where people are clicking. So you can see maybe a heat map of the homepage. What's really popular here? Where are people clicking? Are people trying to click on something that isn't clickable? It's a good way of just ironing out bugs, really, usability bugs. If you sort of search for autoresponders in the App Store, you'll see there's quite a lot. One to look at maybe is an app called Nosto. We use that with a few of our clients. That's not, strictly speaking, a autoresponder only app. It just has it as part of its sort of suite. It's mainly a recommendations product, so it shows you've been looking at this, you might also like this, and it's constantly monitoring behavior. So it starts to learn what people buy with what and starts recommending that. So it's a pretty good system for that. But alongside that, it does the we've missed you emails, the buyer follow-up emails, and abandoned cart, that sort of thing. Within those emails, it's including recommendations. Let's move on to the next one, which is Jack of all trades. So these guys sell t-shirts, and they mentioned what they're trying to do is attract a bigger email mailing list. In fact, if I just load the page again, you can tell that's a key effort. You've got this bit here, want a free tee, 1 of 10 entries will win. So that's a great way of trying to capture someone's email, giving something in return. And 1 in 10, I think, I've got a pretty good chance I'm going to get a free t-shirt. The advantage of offering a competition over a discount is that you can sometimes control it a bit more. A discount code, once you're giving it away, people can be using it all the time or passing it on. But with a competition, you're a little bit more in control of what you're giving away for free, effectively. You also notice that the pop-ups come up. Again, really good, really clear. It feels like it's part of their brand. And again, it's a really compelling offer. It's potentially a bit busy. Maybe for me, I felt like I didn't know where to look, particularly with slides like this. You've got so much going on, and the site itself is already quite busy. So it might be better to remove some of those graphical elements to help focus things down. Clear contact details at the top, that's really good, again. And it's linked in, so let's say I was on a phone or something that's capable of making calls, I can just literally click on that and it'll dial. That's all set up very well. Let's have a look at a product page. One thing I wanted to mention here, that again, I've said it before, the model shots. I think it's really important to see it on a model for clothes. One great thing they're doing is Instagram thing here. Actually, I've chosen a product where it's not showing up, but so you've got this tag Instagram photos now appear below. The great thing about that is that it sort of replaces the need for a model shot in a way that I'm seeing real life people wearing it. So I'll try and find an example of where that's the case, perhaps. But one of my criticisms, I suppose, was that although you're offering this, not all of the products are showing people from Instagram wearing them. Now, I know you've got to wait for people to post those things, but I would say just get people in your team to do it. Just get them to wear it and post it on Instagram. That'll start populating it and also encourage more people to do it. So I think it's well worth just going through that quickly and making sure you've got an Instagram shot of someone wearing it on every product rather than having that sort of empty section that we just saw on the last page. But in general, it's a great thing to be doing. It's sort of social proof as well as helping with the buyers. Is it going to look good on me? Some other things you might want to try, you could do a split test between offering a discount code and offering a competition, just to see when it works. You might have already tried that, see which one's converting better. You should, I think, have a dedicated page that's just for signing up to the mailing list. And that way you can be pushing people to that page on your different social media channels. So at the moment, as far as I could tell, the only place to do it is in these boxes here. Whereas I think, for example, when you get to this slide here, where you're saying, join our newsletter, I wanted to click on that to join, and now I couldn't. I know there's a big yellow arrow on it, but I totally missed that meant do it below. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just me being totally stupid, but I think if it's clickable, and it looks like it is clickable, that should take me to a page where I can fit it in. And it'll also be, like I say, useful for sharing that elsewhere. Consider adding this sign-up form in a few more places, like strategic places. So if you've got a blog, at the end of your blog post, you could be mentioning, do you like this sort of thing? Sign up for our newsletter. So, having the same kind of sign-up process, but just in different contexts, might get you more sign-ups. You might want to consider some other apps to help out with this. So there's an app called Viral Sweep that will let you run kind of more advanced competitions that are quite good at sharing on social media. And as well as running a competition and getting people's email addresses, they incentivize people to sort of like different things to increase their chance of winning. All of that combined together might help your efforts in getting more of these sign-ups. So I'm going to move on to the next one now, the cubic zirconia site. As you can see from this, there's quite a large pop-up. Now, this didn't happen immediately. This happened quite a way into my sort of clicking around it. It's quite good in the sense that there was already another pop-up which I think was incentivizing me to sign up for their mailing list. And then this one's more about just promoting it at a discount. So it's quite a nice combination. It's obviously very salesy, but that can work. But it depends on what you're trying to do with your shop. If you're happy with that sort of very salesy approach and that's working for you, that sort of two different pop-up approach could potentially work well. So I'm going to go back to the homepage without any pop-ups. So the first thing I'd say about this one is, again, it seems a bit messy. It doesn't look to me like a quality website, which subconsciously makes you feel like, are these going to be quality products? Now, presumably, a lot of these products are quite expensive. So something like writing finally an honest jeweler. I know it's kind of a joke, but it actually made me think the opposite. Are you telling me that to make you look more honest? It feels like it's almost like a scam. Maybe that's me, but I just think it maybe has the opposite effect of what you're trying for there. Product page, let's have a look at this. I feel like the description's too much of a big chunk of stuff. I couldn't really get to the information I wanted very easily. Consider bullet pointing some of these sort of stats or something, just to make it a bit easier to read. Also, I mentioned this before on another site, all of this stuff, adding to cart and all the materials, all the options, needs to be at the top to kind of show that it's obvious that I can buy. Not everyone's coming in via the homepage and seeing that it's an e-commerce site. You kind of might just be landing on this site from a search. And if it's not obvious that I could buy it here, I might then leave straight away. The buy button is something that I wanted to mention. I would split test whether having a bigger buy button with the add to cart as part of the red background. I think that would work better. It's almost like I'm not sort of sure where to click. Feels like it could get lost, particularly as you've got lots of different red things all over the page. Someone might not see that. So there's a bit of a usability issue there, I think. You guys mentioned that you're quite keen to get into split testing. So that was one of the things I'd potentially try as a first point.
Are there any apps or services they can use for A/B testing or optimizing so they don't have to get in there and hire a developer and do all the variations themselves?
Yeah, so the two I was going to recommend were Optimizely and Visual Website Optimizer, are two that I've used in the past, and it's very easy to set up a test. Visual Website Optimizer is visual. You're kind of clicking around, editing things, and then it's a test set up, pretty easy to go. Now, there are some issues around properly tracking all the way through to a sale in Shopify, partly because the checkout is hosted on Shopify's site rather than being on your domain. In general, you can still get some good insights from that. They're not in the App Store, by the way, those. But if you just Google Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizely, you'll be able to get to their website, and then it'll have a pretty simple instruction on how to set it up. So that's a bit on A/B testing. Another thing you guys were asking about was email marketing. We've talked a lot about capturing emails, and we've also talked a bit about autoresponders that I think are really important. But again, just sort of more manual approach of sending out mass mail is really, really effective. Sending them out every 2 weeks or every week. They convert really well, and particularly if you're matching up sort of products and content stuff. Let's say we're coming up to Valentine's Day, it's a perfect time for you guys. You should email your mailing list on a regular basis all the way up until Valentine's Day, talking about what you've got on offer, what you should be buying, choosing the perfect engagement ring, and it will convert very, very well.
All right. Piers, thanks. I thought you shared some pretty cool stuff in there, especially around making sure that people have their shipping information really prominently. So if you want to work with Piers and We Make Websites, check them out at wemakewebsites.com. They've got a lot of cool case studies of stores and companies they've worked with before. So be sure to check them out. So let's say that you've implemented all of Piers' ideas and some of the stuff that I mentioned, and your conversions go up. That's great. So what's next? What else can you do to get more customers? In addition to tweaking your website and making some changes to your marketing strategy, a really, really simple way to increase your sales and customers is by adding a refer a friend program to your store. And that's what we do. Since everybody here is committed to increasing their sales, we want to help you out. If you add ReferralCandy to your store in the next 24 hours, I'll give you a $50 credit on your first month. All you got to do is email davidf@referralcandy.com with the subject line webinar and the name of your store in the body, and I'll hook you up. So if you were Cubic Zirconia, all you need to do is email me at this address, subject line webinar, email body, Cubic Zirconia. That's it. You don't need to say who you are or whatever. I know who attended this because I've got the webinar list, and I'll just make sure that you're set up that way. For people who are watching this on the replay, you can still do this. I'll just make sure that you were on this webinar because this is only for people who were in today's session. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through how a referral program works. So for some of you who have never seen it before or seen the process, I'm just going to walk you through that, and then I'll show you some examples. I'll also be taking some questions at the end. So at a very, very high level, I'm going to show you how referrals work for your store. So we'll just go through this quickly. So imagine a customer, John, He has an awesome experience at your store. The UX was great. The product was good. There's no Google Plus sharing buttons, whatever. He buys something from your store and he feels compelled to tell his friends. So he invites friends to your store. And how does he do this? He does this in a lot of ways. Twitter, Facebook, email, WhatsApp, however he connects with his friends, he's going to find a way to invite people to your store because he had such a good experience. Let's say John posted on Facebook and then Mary sees it. So Mary sees the link that he posted to your store and she clicks it. Mary follows the link to your store. She's going to browse around for a bit and then she'll buy something. So now she becomes a customer and she also has an awesome experience because your store is designed so well. And the referral cycle continues. So now Mary is going to refer her friend, who's going to refer her friend. So in general, this is how it works for stores that have been tweaked with all the conversion best practices, and they're thinking about how to make their product experience so good that people want to share. So how do we tie into this, ReferralCandy? What we do is make this part extremely easy. So this is a normal process that really good, well-designed stores with awesome products, this is something that normally happens anyway. What we do is we supercharge that. You're probably getting natural, organic word of mouth referrals already. We just make it extremely easy for this to happen. So on the left side with John, what we do is we set up rewards so you can incentivize this guy to share with his friends. And on the right side, Mary, we can give her rewards as well. So we make it easy for her to want to shop at your store. And we give your store advocates a link. So John is an advocate for your store. We give him a link so you can track everything. So when this is happening right now, it's very difficult for you to know who is sharing what kind of word of mouth referral traffic you're getting. But with ReferralCandy, all of this is tracked. And the end goal really is to get customers to talk about you and help promote your store. So here's some real tweets from real users. I took the screenshot yesterday, and so this kind of stuff is happening all the time with stores that are using ReferralCandy on Shopify. So a couple tweets. Here's a Facebook post. So we have integrations with Twitter and Facebook. We just really, really make it dead easy for your customers to share with their friends. And all this stuff is great, but do people actually buy? Yes. So here is real data from a customer, of course, anonymized. But this is just to show the effect of all of this stuff. Because if you're a store that already gets word of mouth, all we do is make sure that is as easy as possible for your customers, and we track everything, right? So, this is pretty cool. You can see how many referral emails have been sent from your system. And then you see that how it translates into Facebook shares, Twitter shares, and down the funnel into website visits. So this particular store, within the month of late December to late Jan, an additional 10,000 visitors, an additional 1,000 orders just from referrals. And that's pretty cool. They didn't really have to do anything once they set it up. All of this is happening in the background. This concept works across a lot of different stores. So Great's Shopify store, always featured by Shopify because they're so awesome. They're one of our successful customers. And, it works across a lot of different industries, not just in designer footwear, not just visual stuff, but also in software. If you're a design marketplace, or if, say, you're even something that hasn't launched yet, like Mellow, if you're working on pre-orders, referrals is something that's really, really powerful for you. We're able to supercharge the referral process for a lot of different people. So the thing is, I don't want to give the impression that we'll magically get you more customers overnight. That would be awesome. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So here's some things you need to think about whether you sign up with us or any other referral program tool, or if you want to build it in-house. These are things you just need to know in order to make your referral program really good and make it a consistent driver of sales for your store. So first, you should already be getting some word of mouth sales. A referral program really is a multiplier on your existing word of mouth sales. It's not something that is going to magically give you people where nobody's talking about you previously. And secondly, you need to have some traction and predictability in your sales volume. We've seen that the referral marketing word of mouth effect really kicks in at around 100 orders per month. Part of it is just a pure numbers game. It's kind of like email marketing. You should be at some threshold before you start seeing the effects, because there's conversions to take into account and all these kinds of things. And third, the best programs we run have awesome rewards. So just really think about how you can create that alignment with the product and the customer. Awesome doesn't necessarily mean you're giving away huge things for free or a zillion things away for free. It's just making sure that you've taken the time to think about what is the best thing that will incentivize my customer to share with their friends. And lastly, make your referral program as big as possible. So this is pretty simple, kind of like the email marketing thing. The more people in the system, the more sales you'll get. It's probably why Jack of all trades was so crazy about making sure they had a pretty big email list, because volume matters, right? Make it as big as possible. So all of this is basically making sure you have an army of referring customers. ReferralCandy is pretty cool because we don't put a cap on the amount of store advocates and store promoters for your store. So you can have as many people as you want, really building an army of referrers. And how do we do that? Right. So after somebody buys from your store, we'll send them a post-purchase email, essentially letting them know that if you refer a friend, you get these rewards. And by the way, here's your referral link. You can use it right now. You can share it on Facebook. You can tweet it. You can email it. We find these to be extremely effective at making sure that people are aware of your referral program and that they're able to refer friends for a reward. Another thing we do is a post-purchase pop-up. So let's say somebody's just bought something, and after the checkout process is complete, they'll see this and they will know that, hey, I can get something else. Maybe I get store credit. Maybe I get something for free if I refer a friend. A sign-up form. So Greats, we talked about earlier, they have this form embedded on the website. So if you go to greatsbrand.com, you're going to see a banner ad at the bottom that says, refer a friend and get $10. Clicking on that will lead you to this. Beautifully designed, ties in perfectly with their site, and keeps the brand consistent throughout all these touch points. And importing your customers. The cool thing about Shopify is that you can do it by uploading a CSV of your existing customers. So just put that into ReferralCandy, and then we'll make sure that they know that you have a referral program, and we'll make sure that everybody's got a referral link to get their friends in. But the cool thing about Shopify is that we have just released an integration where if you click a button, we will automatically let your customers who have just purchased something at your store in the last month know that you have a referral program. So that's another way we just make it very, very easy to build an army of referrers. All right, so just going back to this for a second. All of these things are about one thing, giving referral links to as many of your customers as possible, making it extremely easy. That's really the key to driving word of mouth sales, making sure everybody's got a link. And so this is what a referral link with ReferralCandy looks like. This link will be trackable, make sure that John and Mary get their rewards, and you can tweak those rewards and make sure that they're really, really hitting home and that they're incentivizing people to share and talk about your store. So let's say that John emails Mary this link, and then she clicks the link, she's going to see something like this. So this is in her browser. Everything you see here is configurable. You can change the logo. Of course, you can change the reward, and the discount code and the discount amount is up to you. So that's basically it. If you're looking to boost your sales, check us out. You can get up and running today. It's extremely easy to install a Shopify app. If you can copy and paste your store URL into the installation process, you don't need any developers. Very, very easy. Plans start at $25 a month. Please go ahead and check out our reviews. We have a 5-star rating in the Shopify App Store, and you can try us free for 30 days. Here's the link to our App Store page, or if you just type in Google, type in Shopify ReferralCandy, we'll turn up. And please do not forget the bonus. So subject line, email me, webinar, and in the body of the email, the name of your store. Okay, I'm going to take a look through the chat here to see if anybody has anything to say. All right, I've got a few. How long does it take to see an effect? That really varies per store. So again, it goes back to my earlier point about email marketing. I would love to give you a very hard and fast answer on this, but at some level, it's a numbers game. So you need to have some volume, and the number we've seen to have that threshold kick in is really 100 transactions a month. So the more orders you get every month, the faster you'll see the effect. Okay, what's a good referral rate? So this is kind of a tricky question because kind of like the first question, the answer is unsatisfying. It depends. I think that the right way to think about it is like running a marathon and marathon times. You can know how other people are doing, what the best in class or the best in your age group are doing, and you can obsess over those. But I would say that the most productive use of your time in thinking about what a good referral rate is just focusing on improving your own time. It's similar with email marketing, SEO, referral programs. You can think about the best in class and all that stuff, but just focus on improving yours and making sure that everything is improving incrementally over time. Having said that, very, very high level, and of course, depends on the store. At a high level, 1% referral rate, you're doing okay. It'll be profitable, it'll be successful, you'll be seeing results. 5% is really, really good. And 10%, you're just crushing it. That is super, super good. That's 1 in 10 purchases at your store. Go ahead and refer another customer. I mean, that's probably going to be, for most stores, a better channel than ads in terms of driving down cost per action. So we're a little bit over time, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you. Thank you guys for attending. I hope Piers' feedback was useful. I hope you guys took a lot of notes because there's a lot of things that we mentioned. Thank you guys.